a march. They are on a march towards total theocratic power. And in that theocracy, someone like me, and of course, y'all know this is not me being worried about me. You know, if I was really worried about me, I wouldn't be in their mentions every day, pissing them off. If there's a hornet's nest, I'm out there kicking that thing. If there's a bear, I'm out there poking it. I want the smoke. But I just want people to know that they are so committed to their precise, thinly defined, narrowly defined dogma that it doesn't matter that the Lord is my light and my salvation. Psalm 27. It doesn't matter that the Lord is the strength of my life. Verse 2 of Psalm 27. None of that matters. They will execute me just as much as they would execute a queer, disabled Muslim. Because it's not about God. It's not even about Christ. It's about power. And anyone who does not fit into their definition of us versus them is a threat to their power. And that has been the arc of world history. And I don't know if you know this, but that has been the arc of world history since before Jesus was born. Before Jesus was born. We've been dealing with the us versus them dichotomy of imperialism since before Jesus was born. We've been dealing with a very specific version of it that stems from Europe since before Jesus was born. They like to say colonialism didn't start till 1492? Alexander the Great would like a word with you. The Spartans, who weren't as bad as the Athenians, would like a word with you. We've been dealing with European colonialism at least since the Athenians. Most certainly since Alexander the Great. You can't not admit that Rome was the greatest model of it, second only to the British Empire. I mean, it's been a pretty consistent through line through world history that we have been dealing with. And it's not just Europe. Obviously, you have the various empires through world history. Us versus them. And it's in the name of us versus them that damn near every person that has been killed on this planet, certainly in war, has been killed in the name of us versus them. And there's no greater catalyst or stimulant for that us versus them dichotomy than religious nationalism. Darth wants to know, Ben, where the hell have you been? I've been working. And I'm going to drop some stuff soon. I always say I'm going to drop stuff soon, but it's coming. I'm doing the citations now. Been working on I think it's pretty important. I think it's a pretty significant paper. It's enough for me to take this and nail it to the walls of Christian nationalism's cathedral and nail it there and say, choke on this. So I've been working, planning, plotting, and just going to do my part to make sure my kids and your kids and our future is a little bit brighter than what Christian nationalists want it to be. And if not for the complete and total fecklessness and incompetence and just tomfoolery of Donald Trump, man. Whew. Now, here's one last detail, and I'll leave you with this. The good news on top of the good news. The good news is that Donald Trump is incompetent and you know, we'll see. We'll see what the midterms do. They're doing a lot to try to make sure he keeps the balance of power. We'll see. But they're so incompetent and so reckless. I mean, have you seen, oh my goodness, the way humans are responding to ICE, the way they're showing up? Oh man, that warms my heart. That lets me know that know that every single one of us, we're saving ourselves. We are who we've been waiting on. When I see the people stand up against ICE, we are who we've been waiting on. But the good news on top of all of that is that even amongst Christian nationalists, just as much as Christian nationalists would look at me and say, we got to kill him, man, they hate each other more. Catholic nationalists hate Protestant nationalists. Evangelical nationalists hate Pentecostal nationalists. Lutheran nationalists hate Baptist nationalists. I mean, come on. The 30 Years' War, that was over Protestantism versus Catholicism, wasn't it? My memory serves me right. And even right now, today, they're already going to war with each other. Their coalition is fracturing, but at the same time their coalition is fracturing, they have a lot of folks who are very intensely concentrated on pushing the ball closer and closer and closer to theocratic fascism. And we can't take the risk of sitting back and just watching them fight, hoping that they would destroy each other. We need a coalition of people who we literally, it's best if we don't agree. No, seriously, it's better that we don't agree. We're not homogenous, and homogeneity is boring. You need diversity for life. You need diversity for growth. You need diversity for civilization, for humanity. So it's best that we don't agree. None of you who are listening to me ever have to believe in God. I'm not going to try to convert you unless you come to my church. I'm going to preach the best sermon I can. I will. You come to my service and I'm going to tell you about why you should love the Lord. But you don't have to believe. But what we can agree on is that we've got to get these Christian nationalist devils up out the paint. We got to get them out of power. We got to push them back into the dregs of society. We got to get these fascists out of power. We got to move them into the dregs of society. We got to get these anti-vax, anti-science troglodytes out of power and move them back into the dregs of society. And then we got to train their children so that they don't replicate ignorance generation from generation. As long as we can agree on that, and as long as we can agree on democracy, as long as we can agree on human rights, as long as we can agree on human dignity, then we're on the same side. Folks, thanks so much for joining us. Miss Blue Ocean, love you more. I'm out of here. Coming up next is my boy. I haven't been live in a minute, so I haven't had a chance to introduce him in a while. I see you over there. My brother from another mother. He looks like he can knock somebody clean out. But it's the nicest dude I've ever talked. I mean, just a really great brother. The angry ginger. Don't let the angry fool you. He's a kind-hearted man. But I got a feeling that if you pissed him off, I want him on my side. Because he looks like he's knocked some teeth out in his lifetime. Thanks so much for joining me, y'all. I'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to patreon.com/VPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.
What's happening, everybody? How's it going today on this fine Thursday? We're almost there. We've almost made it to the end of the week. We got a long way to go until the end of Trump's term, though. It was good. It was good to hear my dude, Pastor Benjamin, on here, man. It's been a while since I heard that voice, and always great to hear my dude. And we had what, a week before we were doing some birthday stuff for a friend of mine, so we weren't here for that Thursday. And then last week we had a wonderful stream with Matt and Left of the Box and everybody else that attended, Alex and Jake and all those guys that came on here and did their thing, and that was a good time. But it's nice to be back and to be on the show and to hear Pastor Benjamin talking his talk. And it resonates with me what he's saying about having some strange bedfellows. As we're looking around and we're seeing some people that maybe we didn't think was gonna come out on the other side of this is a little cleaner than they were before. And when you start finding yourself agreeing with Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's a surreal moment. And we know why Marjorie Taylor Greene, why all of a sudden she's saying things that we agree with. We understand that beehole is tightening up. I saw somebody say something earlier in one of my comments that said they know how big that hole that they have dug has become, and they know how many bodies can fit in it. So, we'll take whatever help we can get out of this. And there's definitely been some surreal moments in seeing certain people that don't want to be caught in the dragnet that is going to happen when this all falls apart, when the wheels fall off, man, when the wheels fall off. But, one thing I did want to say before I get started with my show, because you guys know I come on here once in a while and I tell the left to calm down and stop eating their own and to stop attacking each other. I don't know a lot about Graham Plattner, the guy who's running, I believe, Maine, and he's running against an incredibly old Democrat, would be the oldest, governor to be elected, and against a Republican. But, I've seen some recent stuff where left-wing people seem to be already falling apart in their support of this man. And I've looked at the things that people have been upset about. I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to say it, and then we're going to move on to the rest of the show, because this isn't a show about that. But I saw this video last night from a dude named Big A. Shout out to that dude. He does good work over there, and he's about to have an interview with this dude. And, he made an original video about this topic where he was talking about some old Reddit comments that this man had made, which, by the way, were very anti-Nazi, very anti-fascist. But once again, as always, the left didn't like the language that was used, didn't like the edginess of the humor, or whatever it was. But they really didn't like that, and they got very angry about that. And of course, the right just feeds into it. And he was making a video of that when another video came out about a tattoo that this Graham Plattner guy had. And let me just say this to you guys. I understand, because I grew up around skinheads. I know about tattoos, and I know about their meanings. And I know that there definitely are symbols of hate in this world. But I also know dudes that got tattoos with Norse mythology signs on them, that have rings with those signs on them, that are not racist people. And you need to be better. If this gentleman got a tattoo that had some symbology that later could have been seen as being racist, or perhaps, affiliated with people that we disagree with, and he says to you, guys, I didn't know that that's what that meant, and I'm sorry for it. It's time to judge him on the content of his character and the things that he has done. and not based off of him getting a fucking tattoo off a wall that was obviously kind of stupid. So I just want to say this before we get to this show. Stop eating your own. The dude seems like he's not a bad dude. He might not be my perfect candidate. I've looked a little bit about some of the stuff he says, some of the stuff he does, some of the stuff he likes. Not everything's me. But when we talk about strange bedfellows, that dude is probably not the strangest of bedfellows. And in fact, is probably somebody that you do want in office. Not a 80, 90-year-old Democrat, and definitely not a Republican. So stop eating your own. It don't make no goddamn sense. All right, guys. Yeah, I know about the Blackwater stuff too. Like I said, there's a lot that goes into some of these things, and I was going to play a video for you guys, but I don't think I'm going to have time for it, where it's a comedy video about the left seeing something, having about 2.5 minutes worth of research done, and reacting emotionally to something that they literally know absolute shit all about, and how they eat their own. And like I said, maybe we'll play that on a Saturday show. I thought it was pretty hilarious because it's pretty fucking spot on. But there's definitely some criticisms to be laid at the feet of the man for some of his decisions. But as I said before, judge people on the content of the character, judge them on what they do, and always offer a path to redemption to people that deserve it. If you can't do that, you ain't going to have no fucking candidates. If you think that you are perfect, if you think you are not flawed, let me help you understand something. You ain't perfect. You got flaws, and you've done some shit. Believe me. You've said something, you've done something that if people had a magnifying glass on your life, you would find yourself in a place where you were getting the same disrespect that individual is getting. I know I am. I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm flawed. And I'll sit here and I'll honestly tell you the shit I've done in my life that you'll disagree with. I don't have a problem with it because I'm a different person. I'm a better person. And I hope that to the day I die, I continue to grow and educate myself and become a better person. But you are never going to have a candidate or a person in your life that is not flawed in some manner, that is perfect and infallible. You got to take what you got to take. All right. So let's do the actual show. I just wanted to say that because I saw this last night. And then Pastor Benjamin talking about strange bedfellows brought that up to me. So I wanted to mention that while I was doing it. Now let's talk about the real. Let's talk about the real villain. Let's talk about the real person that you're supposed to be fighting against. Let's talk about the real enemy across the lines from you. Let's talk about the people that are actually making this country worse. That they don't need tattoos. You know, Donald Trump don't have a tattoo. Why you don't have tattoo? Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? You focus on a tattoo. Donald Trump ain't got no tattoos. Stephen Miller probably has a tattoo of a penis on his cheek. I mean his butt cheek. All right. Like, the worst people in the world don't always advertise themselves, guys. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that Trump's doing. You guys all know about a lot to do with the White House and what's going on. And of course, the narrative, the NPC talk that many people on the right are pushing forward, so that way they can say Donald Trump's not a bad guy. Donald Trump's a good guy. Okay, you guys don't understand. Donald Trump's paying for the ballroom. Donald Trump's paying for the patio to be destroyed. Not to mention that wouldn't be an acceptable answer in the first place. But then just the deceitfulness of these people, the dishonesty of these people when it comes to these topics. I'm sure most of you know by now that Donald Trump himself is not paying for this ballroom. Okay, Donald Trump is paying for this ballroom in the same way that he has paid for so many things in his life, through corruption, through deceit, through backdoor deals. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on with that, who they're blaming, and then one of the reasons why I think he's doing what he's doing with the White House now, and I think it might surprise you. So first, so that way everybody is up to date on what is going on, let's watch a little bit of a video talking about the White House and its demolition. And wow, that's just a surreal thing to say. The White House's demolition. What a surreal thing to say. I mean, I guess at this point, I'm actually surprised that there isn't a Trump Tower there already. But yeah, let's talk a little bit of demolition and who's paying for it.
The Trump administration has demolished the White House East Wing. Crews started working earlier this week to make room for a 90,000 square foot ballroom. Earlier, CBS News' Weijia Jiang asked White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt about the legality of the move and whether the administration was required.
Can I ask you guys real quick as we get into this? What is the chance, you guys, what is the chance that Barack Obama could have got away with doing this? What is the chance, guys, that Barack Obama or Joe Biden could have gotten away with demolishing part of the White House without having people absolutely losing their shit? I'm saying 0%. Absolutely 0%. Somebody said Donald Trump has his tramp stamp. Over in my chat. That's a solid, I don't want to see that man's back nor his backside, but the people have questions.
To notify the National Capital Planning Commission.
Can the president tear down anything he wants without oversight? Can he demolish this building or say the Jefferson Memorial?
It's not the president who came up with that legal opinion himself. That's a legal opinion that's been held by the NCPC for many years. Their general counsel has said when it comes to phase one of this project, the tearing down of the current East Wing structure, a submission is not required legally for that.
Yikes. Yikes. She asked if he could tear down the Jefferson statue, and that's the answer? This is the craziest stuff that we will ever see. Well, I hope. I shouldn't say that.
Only for vertical construction will a submission be required.
CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi joins us now. So, Olivia, how much is this going to cost, and who exactly is funding this?
Well, Lindsay, we now know that this project is going to cost somewhere around $300 million. Originally, this White House told us it was going to be $200 million.
No way. No way a project that Donald Trump is in charge of is going to cost more than originally quoted? You don't say.
Now we are learning it's upwards of $300 million, and the president just said that he has raised about $350 million for this project. So it seems that the costs are continuing to go up. However, the White House has said that this is not taxpayer money, that this is all donations, and the president says he is also willing to contribute some of his own money.
So just right there, two things that she said right there. This money is donations. Guys, these are not donations. These are bribes. Allegedly, these are bribes. Just call it what it is. And he's going to use some of his own money from those bribes.
This project. So who is exactly donating for this? Well, we got a list from the White House earlier today. Some of the groups.
That's a solid question, Etch. At the end of Trump's term, there's a good chance that this thing has not been fully built yet. Also, I bet you it would have cost a lot less if they didn't have to get lumber from Canada that has been tariffed. God damn it.
Include Amazon, Apple.
Ah, there you go. You guys, all people that you can completely trust. You can definitely trust Amazon, Coinbase, Lockheed Martin, Meta, Palantir, and apparently the Hard Rock Cafe. That's a strange one.
Coinbase, Hard Rock.
Is the Hard Rock
International,
owned by Larry Ellison? Is the question.
Google,
All of these
Martin,
companies are owned by
Meta,
Larry Ellison, isn't it?
which is the parent company of Facebook, Palantir, T-Mobile. There's also several members of the Trump administration who have donated money, including Howard Lutnick, who is the Commerce Secretary, and Kelly Loeffler, who's the head of the Small Business Administration. So certainly a project that continues to balloon here at the White House. As you mentioned, though, the East Wing is completely demolished today.
So what can you tell us about at what point it was decided the entire East Wing would need to go?
It's a good question, because certainly when we were told about this project originally over the summer, the White House promised transparency, and they said that it wouldn't be touched, that the ballroom would be separate from the East Wing. But today, Caroline Leavitt said that they were informed that in order to modernize the East Wing, they would need to demolish it.
Jesus, look at that. Holy shot. No way. No way Barack Obama could have done this. Like, there would have been Jan 6 on steroids if Barack Obama. There are people in my family, in my extended family right now, that if Barack Obama had done this, they would be loading guns. It would be the end of the fucking world.
Entirely and really raise it to the ground. They said that this was important.
Also, can I just ask, did we ever get any closure on that video of them throwing stuff out the window of that? Was that in the East Wing? I need to know whether or not they figured out, whether or not they were like, you know what, actually, we're not going to be able to get rid of all this evidence by just throwing it out the window. What if we just demolished the entire East Wing? Like, who did they kill in the East Wing that they couldn't get the blood out of the carpet? How many bodies were in the East Wing? What did they do in the East Wing, guys, that resulted in them being like, you know what, we just gonna have to just fucking burn this whole bitch to the ground? Like, that's like legit. While everybody else is like upset that, oh my God, they destroyed the East Wing, I'm sitting here thinking, guys, what did they do in the East Wing? Someone needs to get pictures of them rebuilding this East Wing. We need to know, are there going to be bodies in the foundation of the Epstein ballroom? This is mafia shit.
The modernization process. Of course, we know that the East Wing was created in 1901, later modernized in 1942, and now it is completely gone, and they are looking to rebuild it, modernize it, and add this ballroom. And Lindsay, they told us today to trust the process.
Olivia Rinaldi, thank you.
Trust the process. I don't trust anything that these people do. I don't trust the process. I don't trust the words they're saying. I don't trust their actions. I'm good on that. There's not going to be much trust involved in any of this. So we've got, to go along with that, we've got a little bit of KKK Carolyn Leavitt here. Who, guys, who do you think Carolyn Leavitt blamed? Who do you think Carolyn Leavitt blamed for what's going on at the White House right now? I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to go ahead and you guys pick who you think got blamed for the White House being in the state that it is now. And spoiler alert, it was not Donald J. Trump, guys. It wasn't Trump. Okay? Here you guys go. You guys ready for this? This is the dumbest timeline. It's the dumbest timeline. What's happening, Devil's Advocate? What's happening, Alex? How's it going, man? It was good meeting you. I had a good time. I wish I could have been here for yesterday's, but I had a stream my own to do. So, I just keep accidentally pushing buttons here. There we go. All right. Leavitt blames White House bulldozers on former president baffling defense. Guys, you know whose fault it is. Fucking Obama. Of course it's Obama's fault. It's Obama in his beige suit. You guys know that it was Obama in his beige suit. Alan, you know, you would think it would be Biden that gets blamed for this, but no. No, it's Obama. Thanks, Obama. It's the dumbest timeline. Carolyn Levitt appeared to put words into Barack Obama's mouth while defending Donald Trump's demolition of the East Wing of the White House to build his gaudy new ballroom. The White House press secretary dismissed the anger and concern over the destruction of the historic building for Trump's $250 million vanity project, calling it fake outrage. Because what you do is you just add fake to the beginning of anything, and that just makes it fake, obviously. And during appearance on Fox News' Jesse Watters Primetime, Levitt claimed that previous presidents had also sought more space to host lavish gatherings at the White House before making a disputed claim about Obama to support her point. She said, President Obama notably complained that during his tenure, he had to hold a state visit on the South Lawn and get a very expensive tent. The Obama administration did, in fact, pitch a large tent on the South Lawn of the White House in November of 2009 and October of 2016 to host state visits for the prime ministers of India and Italy, respectively. However, there is no evidence that Obama ever complained about doing so. In fact, Obama praised the tent during his 2009 state dinner speech for Indian Prime Minister. I'm not even going to try and say his name. As we all know, in India, some of life's most treasured moments are often celebrated under the cover of a beautiful tent. And it's a little like tonight, Obama said. We have incredible food and music and are surrounded by great friends. Let me just first of all say, guys, that's the first time in a long time I haven't had to read a Donald Trump presidential statement. And God, that felt good. It flowed so well. It was like, you know, a guy that had more than 2 brain cells was speaking. The transcript did not give me a seizure while I tried to read it. It feels so good. ABC News reported at that time that the White House aides viewed the tent as a symbol of the Obama administration's openness, since it could accommodate far more guests than the traditional East Room or state dining room. The large white tent returned in October 2016 when Obama hosted his final state visit to welcome Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi. Hinzi? Is it an H or as an R? I can't remember how to do that. One person who did complain about Obama's use of the tent was, unsurprisingly, Donald Trump. Speaking on the Rush Limbaugh show in 2011, Trump claimed that he personally called the White House to offer to build a ballroom after seeing what he described as the old rotten tent used for the Indian state visit. He said, I called up the White House. I said, listen, I'm really good at this stuff. I will build you a magnificent ballroom. We'll go through committees. I will build the White House a ballroom so when the head of India comes to town, we can give a 5-star dinner in a magnificent ballroom befitting this country and the White House. They never got back to me. It's a $100 million gift. They never got back to me. That's Trump for you. And look at this. Look at this. Oh, guys. Yeah, he's been wanting that ballroom. Alex. This man has been jerking off to images of his new ballroom for like 15 years. Good God, guys. What is this timeline? 2008 state visit was also notable for Virginia couple Michelle and Tariq Saleh somehow managing to blag their way into the occasion and rub shoulders with the world leaders. The gate-crashing pair were aspiring reality TV stars hoping to be part of the Real Housewives of Washington at the time of the incident. That's a fun fact for you guys. That's a fun fact, all right? Guys, what are we supposed to say to what is going on in this country right now? How are you supposed to respond to what is going on in this country right now? The only way that I have found to properly respond to the idiocracy that is happening in this country right now is the way that I have been doing this entire time. and that is to mock and make fun of these fucking idiots. And it's working. Look, when you have a man in an inflatable frog costume, pelvic thrusting at the faces of a bunch of dudes who peaked in high school who have never gotten to touch a woman's vagina. That's right, I'm talking about ICE agents. Okay? That's the only way to handle this. That's the only way that we can do this. Because you can't take this shit seriously. You can't respond to this with any logic or intelligence. This fight is down in the mud. We are rolling around in pig shit right now with these people. But I'll tell you what. I was made for this. See, I grew up in a trailer park. I grew up with skinheads. I grew up eating out of trash cans. I'm good. This is my home turf. You done fucked up, AA Ron. So, I'm going to tell you guys why he's doing all this. And you guys ain't going to agree with me, or maybe you will, but either way, I think that you're going to be surprised as to why I think Donald Trump is doing what he's doing. I'm going to tell you guys right now that the reason that I think Donald Trump is demolishing the East Wing is because he is getting ready for his birthday party. I believe that Donald Trump is right now building himself a coliseum. And a lot of you guys might not know who Luke Thomas is. If you're not fans of MMA, if you saw the recent Jordan Klepper video about Gen Z and young men voters, then you might have seen an appearance from Luke Thomas in the Jordan Klepper video where he was interviewed and asked about why so many right-wing young men are
with the White House card moving to
flocking to Donald Trump. I really like Luke Thomas. Luke Thomas is an MMA veteran, a great dude, very intelligent, knows his shit, and he gets to speak to a world that you don't often get to see into because the UFC has become hardcore MAGA central. And I like Luke Thomas, and I think that you should go and give Luke Thomas a subscribe and hit the like button on his video. I'm gonna let you guys watch this video with me as we go over this stuff. He's gonna talk a little bit about the White House card, and then if you like what this man does, please do go give him a subscribe. He is one of the few people that still has their head on straight in the UFC. For those of you who don't know, as Pastor Benjamin said, I have knocked out a few teeth in my lifetime. I bounced at least one person's face off of a sidewalk, allegedly. It was when I was a much younger person. I grew up sparring. I grew up watching the UFC. I grew up fighting. I learned to box from the Mexican dude next door. Shout out Tommy. And I loved the UFC. I loved watching it. I enjoy combat sports. Not actual like going to Kuwait. My son is a martial artist, and he's getting big enough. I spar with him a little bit, and I enjoy that. But it's one of those sad things that happens when you see something that you love go down this path. And now that we're seeing Dana White getting involved in boxing, which is dear to my heart. I grew up watching boxing. You know, I became an adult alongside Mike Tyson, you know, watching Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray Leonard. Arturo Gatti was my favorite fighter. Arturo Gatti, rest in peace to Arturo Gatti, and now rest in peace to Arturo Gatti's son, who took his own life recently. There's a lot to be talked about in that area, but, you know, shout out to Luke here for keeping his head on straight in a place where people currently are giving into the grift and the dumbassery that is going on in MAGA. So I want to watch this with you guys. This is what I think that Donald Trump is doing with the East Wing and what he's preparing the White House for, and I do believe it's for his birthday.
So with the White House card moving to Trump's birthday, does the need for American fighters go away as it's no longer a USA celebration? No. This is the thing. I tried to argue this with BC, you know, once again, utterly vindicated. It's on his fucking birthday, and people being like, "This is about." I can't even say without laughing. This is about the history of the country. This is about the office of the president. The fucking guy is throwing himself a birthday party, and the reason why you know that's true is that his supporters love this idea for that reason.
And by the way, the card is going to be dog shit because the UFC has lost its luster. The UFC puts on fights that has name recognition. Just like boxing fell apart. UFC is falling apart because they want to trot out old ass dudes that have lost their fucking mind like Conor McGregor that can't last more than a round anymore, because the only people that really do well in the UFC anymore are dudes from outside this country. The Khabibs, the Kazakhstan dudes, Marab. But they don't have name recognition. Nobody gives a shit about Marab, even though he's a dope fighter. Why? Because Americans love symbolism, not substance. They don't give two shits about Marab and how good Marab is. What they care about is watching Mike Tyson fight fucking Logan Paul or Jake Paul, which one of the dipshits it was that he fought. That's all that Americans care about. And this UFC card that's going to happen at the White House on Donald Trump's birthday is going to be absolute garbage, filled with old name recognition, past their prime UFC fighters who don't belong in an octagon.
They don't even believe the American history part about it. You don't need to bother with it. They love the idea that it's his birthday. They wish to reward him and lavish him with praise. Okay,
Yep.
To that point. But they might need some kind of tangential hook to, again, this will all depend on how the UFC and the government frame it, to what extent it becomes eligible for federal funds, and to what extent does it need to be connected to the broader 250 celebration. And even though it's not on January, even though it's not on July 4th, there could still be a connection that can be made to this, sort of longer set of activities all related to it that precede the actual date itself. And then if that's part of it, then it makes it eligible for federal funds.
Not to mention, this is literally the bread and circuses stage, right? For anybody that doesn't know, the bread and circuses stage is the final stage of the country falling apart. Distract them with bread and circuses whilst stealing from the country. We are in the bread and circuses stage, and it's being shoved right down your throat. You don't even want the bread, and they're like, take this dry loaf of crusty, fucked up bread we dug out of a trash can, because that's all you're going to get while we steal all the gold in this place.
Right? So that's something to pay attention to. But like all these people being, this is about the office of the presidency. No, look, it isn't. The stupidest people, pay attention to what I'm about to say very clearly. The people in MMA who say this is about the office of the presidency, it's really not about Trump. Yes, he's a fan, but blah, blah, blah. These are the dumbest people you will know. These are the most gullible people you know. Or at a bare minimum,
aggressively gullible, not just gullible. People that don't just get taken advantage of, but people that seek out people that will take advantage of them.
These are the most dishonest people that you know, because even they don't believe that shit, but they're just going to say it because they want to get it through. It has nothing to do with any of that shit. Trump is doing this shit as a reward because he tried to steal a presidential election. He had a fake elector scheme, which other people would have gone to jail for, but we don't know how that turned out.
Yep.
His image was in tatters. The UFC helped rehabilitate him. He ran back for office, and they helped convince young men to get him back into office. This is their reward. This is his reward to them. That is what this is, right? And the fact that he's throwing it on his birthday is because, of course, he has to make everything about himself because that's what he always does. That's the score here. And here's how you know it's true, because when I say that, his supporters are like, yeah, damn right. They don't say, oh, that cannot. They might deny it for a second because they don't want to put on those appearances. But when you really drill down, they fucking love it for that reason. Just say it. Just admit it.
Yeah,
What?
He's right. Because the final Final part of that argument is him going, so what if Trump does? So what if he wants to throw a UFC fight for his birthday? So what, dude? He deserves it. He's saving this country, bro. He's keeping it fucking, yeah. He got rid of all the illegals, bro. Like, I don't have to worry about some dude that can't speak English that, like, committed a bunch of crimes taking my job. Not realizing how stupid that sounds. Not realizing how stupid that sounds.
Why do we have to do this kabuki theater about this is the Washington and the Delaware? I mean, it's got what? Who is so fucking stupid they believe that?
Trump supporters.
Even his supporters don't believe that. Y'all know you don't believe that. You know what the score is. He's throwing himself a birthday party, and this is a reward for the UFC for getting him back in that fucking house. No more, no less.
Yep.
That's the game. This is a guy who gives ambassadorships to important people who fucking donated to his campaign. This is what he does. And if you're a supporter of him, this is what you would consider to be a good thing.
Yep.
He rewards his political allies lavishly. And
it's symbolism. It's just like right now, I just saw something earlier today that I saw some meme that said $20 billion for Argentina. What about $20 billion for the Appalachians? Like, this is who they are. They like symbolism. They don't like substance, because substance takes brain power, right? Like, you have to have a multitude of brain cells, more than a small clump, okay? You have to have enough of an ability to think about a subject for long enough to be able to understand the subject when it comes to substance. If you want to talk to people about how we could put $20 billion into the Appalachians, because you remember America first, then you're going to have to explain, well, okay, what are we going to do with that 20 billion? How are we going to, build up infrastructure? What jobs are we going to encourage? Are we going to bring back education? Well, fuck no, of course not. Because then these people wouldn't vote for people like Donald Trump. Shit, if they were smart enough to know that they're cutting off their own nose to spite their own face, they sure as fuck wouldn't have voted for Donald Trump. They don't want substance, because substance means that you have to stop for a moment and understand, did this work out? Did it not work out? Why did it work out? Why did it not work out? What could we have done better? And instead, they just like the shiny object, man. They like it just being flashed in front of their face. They don't even want to own it. They want to own it, but they know they can't own it, but they'll never tell themselves that they can't own it. They'll go, oh, that's a shiny object. That's cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? Yeah, no, you can't have it. You can't have it. I'm going to give it to my friend. You can't have it, but it's pretty cool, though, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. They don't want substance. They want symbolism.
Like, that's a thing he's known for. Like, come on. Like, we don't just cut the shit, is my request. You can decide that it's a good thing, and I can decide whether or not I agree. But can we at least have a conversation about the fucking reality of it all? That's my very minimal request to you. What would you say is the likelihood of the UFC Whitehouse card being as follows? Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes, John Jones, I'm assuming, obviously, against Alex Pereira, and then Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. This person writes, that way, the UFC won't have to occupy every champion on the roster and still be able to produce a great card. They'd only be occupying Kayla, as Pereira would have already...
First of all, you're going to have Amanda Nunes getting deported. Just became a citizen of the United States. Alex Pereira going to get deported. Conor McGregor is the only person on that card that legit should be deported.
Vacated the top.
Isn't it funny that it's like, yo, we can't have these immigrants in our country that have committed crimes when... literally, Conor McGregor has essayed a woman and been held civilly liable, just like the President of the United States of America, brother. And Conor McGregor, I used to love Conor, dude. I used to love Conor, but he lost his goddamn mind. Got too much into the coca, Like, he's a garbage-ass human being. This is why I tell people all the time. I go, just because you used to like somebody doesn't mean you can't change your mind when they become a shitty person. Like, You want to deport somebody that ain't from America that's committed crimes, then maybe you should start with Conor fucking McGregor, dude. But he ain't gonna, because he's just like Donald Trump.
At that point, and the winner of Yuri versus Olberg would have just won it. We'd be able to get a great Whitehouse card while also being able to have great cards leading up and following the event as well. So again, you'd have a title fight at 35, presumably, for Harrison versus Nunes. You'd have no title on the line in the co-main, and then you'd have McGregor versus Chandler, also non-title, on that card as well. Well, I'll say this, I think. If you're looking to maximize star power without compromising the championship schedule and the way in which, like, who's available, and to your point, I mean, everyone's kind of hyped about the Whitehouse card, which obviously, you know, the UFC is telling you to do that. They're telling you we're going to make it great. But at the same time, they have to make sure that the entire calendar holds up, as we all know, right? So there's probably going to be some lean time, maybe, you know, in the couple of months leading up to the card, or maybe even a couple of months after, or both. But they can't punt on the whole year, especially if it's the first year of the Paramount relationship. So they have to take care of it. And I would add something further. Your card, as such, as it's written here, kind of accomplishes that. And then I would simply add, if you throw in Ronda Rousey, I'm assuming you're not going to give her a title fight.
No, and Ronda Rousey isn't going to do it. She already said. She said she doesn't want anything to do with this shit. Which, big up to Ronda Rousey. Like I said before, I always root for the underdog. I like rooting for the dogs, man. I like rooting for the people that are coming up, that are trying to get somewhere. You know, I like to see people accomplish things. I like to see people to fight to get to the top. And I was hard on Rousey. I was rooting for Holly Holm when Holly Holm, you know, knocked her ass out, because I was like, Ronda Rousey's been up to top for long enough. It's time for somebody else to get a piece of that championship. But you know what I have to say is, you know what? Ronda Rousey turned out to be a pretty good human being. Like, Ronda Rousey actually turned out to be a nice person. And that means more than anything to do with belts or with wins or with success. Like, in my book, just like the fact that it turns out that Ronda Rousey actually ended up being a good person, I was like, that's better than anything else. I don't think Ronda Rousey's going to be there.
But assuming you throw that in there with a Misha Tate trilogy or a Holly Holm one-off rematch, or maybe you could even do Juliana Pena, you're also not occupying the title, and you're adding on a card both Conor and Ronda. Granted, they are both post-prime. They are both popularity prime, I would also say, as well, post that as well. So, you know, we're not getting – this is not 2016. However, obviously they would still have a significant degree of popularity, and then it frees you up to make sure you have other title fights on the other parts of the calendar. So yes, if what your goal is to maximize star power while not occupying the championship schedule, that card, as you proposed, would get you pretty far. It accomplishes a lot, and as you indicated, you would have an American, in this particular case, Harrison, Jones, and Chandler, in all three of those contests. If you throw Rousey on there, there's another American in the card.
God, can you imagine? Oh my God. It's already so gross when you have people fighting and people start booing people from other countries. It's already so bad. Can you imagine how fucking off the chart a MAGA audience would be at the White House? By the way, just so you guys know, they are proposing that fighters are staged in the Oval Office, and that they will make their way from the Oval Office to the ring on the South Lawn, I think it is. It's idiocracy, man. It's absolute idiocracy.
You know, and probably her opponent's going to be American too. So it solves that. The question is that what the UFC wants? Is that what do they want? Do they want? I mean, the cost of a card like that, if you had to put Jones and McGregor on it, I don't know how they're going to work out these new deals that don't have pay-per-view on it. So that part is a little strange.
Yeah,
do you want to bunch up Rousey, Jones, and McGregor, all three of which are going to be pricey? I don't think Jones is going to be $30 million pricey, but he's going to be more expensive than Chandler. Do you want to spend money in that particular way? I don't know. They might. These are all the questions that we don't really have an answer to.
Don't worry, dude. They're just going to get money from Apple, and they'll get money from Meta. They'll get money from Elon Musk, and they'll call it donations, guys. Donations. They're not bribes. All of these companies 100% will not get any quid pro quo out of this. It'll just seem like it. You're lying eyes.
The only thing I can say is your card accomplishes as indicated without messing up the rest of the schedule. But I just don't know how the UFC wants to pay, like how they want to manage the rest of the calendar and how they want to pay for it. These are pretty big considerations. And part of how they want to pay for it is, Zach Arnold has speculated that this America 250 fund, even though this is happening a month, or I should say 2 or 3 weeks anyway, prior to July 4th, that it would it's still going to be part of potentially this America 250 fund as a way to essentially write off the costs of staging the event to the to the taxpayer. And again, I'm not saying that that's part of.
How crazy does that sound? You guys are going to pay for this. I'm going to pay for this. Remember waste, fraud, and abuse, guys? Do you guys remember when this was we're gonna get the waste, fraud, and abuse? What happened? They fired people's grandmas. They fired people's cousins, their wives, their husbands, their brothers, their sisters. That was the deep state. They got rid of waste, fraud, and abuse by firing the people that voted for Trump and firing American citizens. And then they're going to turn around and take the money that those people have made and paid in taxes and then fund a UFC fight on the South Lawn. It's insane. It's absolutely fucking insane.
But if the UFC can get the federal taxpayers to cover the cost of the event, lawn repair, I know they're saying that they're going to be on the hook for $700,000, but again, they might be eligible for some of this money as well. In which case, they could just say, "Oh, well, we had to pay for it, and we paid for it by use of these federal funds." Again, some of this remains to be seen, but how it's funded also makes a big difference. Remember, the Sphere show was very, very expensive, and they essentially solved that problem by getting Riyadh Season to be a sponsor on it. So they had this like $20 million budget essentially that they were on the hook for, and to make that work according to and again, the UFC of course has $20 million to spend, but the way in which they spend it and how they spend it, these things could be somewhat fixed in place, relatively speaking. So they sold a sponsorship to Saudi Arabia on it as a way to help defray some of the cost.
For America's birthday. America's birthday sponsored by Saudi Arabia. Oh, you can't make this shit up.
Again, whether that will happen here, who the hell knows? I think it's kind of difficult to say. But I would keep in mind these considerations, and also, not for nothing, but having Jones and McGregor on the card. You're gonna,
dude. There's not enough cocaine in America to have John Jones and Conor McGregor on the same card. That's going to completely dry up the entire supply of cocaine in America.
Invite a certain kind of press, not the MMA media, but like the broader public. But even that's not really the most important part. It's like, I know Dana says he feels like he can rely on Conor.
Yeah, when? When has that ever happened?
I'm not so sure how true that is.
Yeah, no.
And also, listen, Jones is obviously freshly suffering what can only be described. I don't know the circumstances, but I don't have to know that, probably losing a brother before the age of 40 is a profound tragedy. Rough. So there is that they are suffering, which would, I think, disrupt the life and potentially the professional schedule of any athlete to suffer a similar circumstance. Again, I don't want to speculate much more beyond
that. Not to mention, John Jones also not somebody you can depend on.
That, but enough to say that these things in life can be incredibly, not always, but can be incredibly disruptive. And to say nothing of the previous history, obviously before that, and how unreliable he has been proven to be for other reasons. You want both those guys? I mean, that's you can do it. You're running a bit of a risk. Feel like it might be one or the other. But who knows? It's a good question. Let's just see what problem the UFC is trying to solve by the way in which they build it.
Yeah. And we all know what the real actual card should be. It should be Elon Musk versus Scott Bessent. It should be Steve Bannon versus Alex Jones. It should be Marjorie Taylor Greene against Lauren Boebert or Laura Loomer. Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene versus Lauren Boebert and Laura Loomer. Like that, I mean, if we're going to make this shit a circus, let's make this shit a circus. Like, why are we half-assing this? Like, just go ahead and let Donald Trump's people fight each other. I think we put, how about Stephen Miller versus Elon Musk? That's another good one. Katie Miller can ref it. Let's just make this as WWE as we possibly can. Let's go ahead and go full idiocracy. Let's let Scott Bessent and Stephen Miller fight Elon Musk. And who could Elon Musk tag team? Mark Zuckerberg. There you go. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg versus Stephen Miller and Scott Bessent with special guest referee Katie Miller. And then the winner gets to tag team Katie Miller. Probably on TV. Probably on TV. Let's just be honest. A year from now, guys, if Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg have paid enough money into Donald Trump's pockets, they may televise the weirdest sexual event you will ever see in your life. MTG versus 100 gorillas. Dude, ain't no 100 gorillas want to fight that fight with Sora. Them gorillas are getting the fuck out of there as soon as possible. They're getting the hell out of there like, nope, we don't want none of that. But for now, guys, okay, for now, the White House is like still 75% standing, okay? The White House is still like 75, 80% still there. And while it's still there, guys, Trump is continuing, of course, to use the White House to do the things that Trump likes to do. You know, like have lunches and talk shit to his own people. So recently, and I do mean like yesterday, Donald Trump, automatic no. Trump stops his speech to degrade senator who won't bow. The senator fires back, turning Trump's own words into a clever takedown. Donald Trump hosted his first lunch for Republican senators at his Rose Garden Club on October 21st. Just please stop. This is at the Mar-a-Lago patio. Can we, look, it's the Jeffrey Epstein Ballroom, okay, and the Mar-a-Lago patio. Just call it what it is. The newly constructed grounds welcomed officials to white patio tables covered by striped white and yellow umbrellas, a decorative nod to the president's Mar-a-Lago resort. However, not every taxpayer is impressed by the recent White House renovations. The project saw crews pave over the Rose Garden lawn with stone, a decision that drew condemnation from some constituents. Mostly just smart, intelligent people that still have brain cells left. You know, that's it. The undertaking reportedly cost a little over $1 million. The tab, according to Trump, was footed by private donors, Bribes, much like his big, beautiful ballroom that will replace the east wing of the People's House. Footage of the afternoon gathering showed the businessmen's political cronies seated four to a table as they conversed among themselves while YMCA played from the speakers. Why? Why is this America? Why are you like this? How surreal is this shit? Dude is playing YMCA while all of his people hanging out. What are they? Were they eating snacks? Hors d'oeuvres? Oh, hold on. I got ahead of myself, guys. I got ahead of myself. The menu consisted of a classic cheeseburger, fries, and Rose Garden chocolates. Some washed the meal down with a Diet Coke. Thank you, Pinkerbell. I deserved that. I deserved this. I deserved that. I should have sang it. Hermit, I should have sang it. An IG Threads user remarked, looks like an old mall food court with seniors sitting around. A second user commented, at least they took the McDonald's out of the bags and put it on plates. What the fuck, America? Are we great yet? And this is a video from it. Let's just go ahead and watch the video. Let's watch the video, guys. Are we? Are we a wealthy nation again? I think he's just talking about him and his friends. And also, from the back of this man's head, I'm going to tell you, that's Lindsey Graham. And I can see Josh Hawley's, like, that is the haircut of a dude who runs from any type of confrontation. Bro, it hit 38 trillion today. We're going to start paying it down? With what? You have to give the tariffs to the farmers. China. Dude, this is all he talks about. No, he owned 38 trillion. And bro, 13.5 of it is from you. You were the president. You guys can't see what I'm watching.
I welcome you to the incredible Rose
There's nothing actually going on in the video, so you weren't missing anything.
Garden. It's just an incredible place. It was done. We did it, brought it back to health. It was in very bad shape, actually.
Let's get that one more time. Can I get that one more time? I love when Trump just starts rambling.
Incredible Rose Garden. It's just an incredible place. It was done. We did it, brought it.
It was done. We did it. God damn it.
Welcome you to the incredible Rose Garden. It's just an incredible place. It was done. We did it, brought it back to health. It was in very bad shape.
It's done. We did it. It was in very bad shape. We brought it back to health. What is this timeline?
Actually, and we brought it back to health. First Lady Melania did a fantastic job on it.
Not my wife, not the mother of my children. First Lady.
Surrounds and everything. It's all brand new wiring. You know, underneath there's a lot of wire, a lot of things.
Bro, he said there's a lot of wire. There's a lot of things. These are the people that made fun of Joe Biden. Oh my God.
Everything brand new, everything beautiful. The only thing we did is we had to get a hard surface here because nobody could use it because of the grass. So,
fuck that grass.
I just want to welcome you, and I hope you're going to be here a lot.
Like they're homies. Like, I hope you guys come around. You know, this is pretty much my man cave, and you know, we could maybe watch football, or maybe if you guys want to do, we could rewatch the videos of Jan 6. I always like to say, there's nothing I like jerking off more to than videos of men smearing their feces on the wall of Nancy Pelosi's office.
We're going to use it for meetings. We're going to use it for press conferences. Now we can use it. It was unusable before.
It was a rose garden, motherfucker.
And now we can use it. But everything that you see was redone. All of this was redone, and the whole White House is being redone. Some of you came through what they call the Rose Hall. They call it different names, but you probably...
They call it the Rose Rose Hall. They call it different names. Some people just call it A Hall.
You noticed, I don't know if you came through this door, did you notice the white marble floor?
What the fuck is this? What is this?
That was put there. That was
put there.
It was made out of Home Depot tiles.
What the fuck?
About 1 foot by 1 foot. They were all broken, about 30 years old.
Oh.
And I replaced it with book-matched marble, paid for by your friend, President Trump.
He had to hesitate. Dude, even Stephen Miller looks like he's not having a good time. Why? Look at all the white dudes. So many old white men.
It's like, it's amazing how people like it when you say you paid for it.
Oh, they put all the women in that one table. Look at Mitch McConnell. Look at Turtle Man. Holy shit, Turtle Man. Look at it. He's got his pouch. You guys can see the pouch right there. That's where he stores his poison. Okay? When the Turtle Man fears for his life, that pouch expands with poison. Currently, he knows that Trump is coming for his beehole. So he is partially filled, guys.
For it. When I say I paid for it, they say, "Oh, I love it," but they did a beautiful job. They're great talents. They're
He's
very
glitching.
talented marble people I have, and they replaced it with beautiful Paradiso marble and
What the fuck is this old man droning on about?
statuary marble, and it's really, really beautiful.
Jesus Christ. Why, guys? Why? Why is this what we're doing? Why is it this stupid? Why does it have to be this stupid, guys? I don't understand. I don't understand. Oh, thank you. Fantradeath. Thank you for the 20 memberships. My dude. And the 10 memberships. Thank you for the 30 memberships. Fantradeath. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. A third person wondered, is that the only song they're allowed to play? I'm sure they have nightmares about it. Jessica Tarlov bashed the Trump upgrades during a heated row with Jesse Waters on the 5 Tuesday evening. She said, he turned the Rose Garden into a patio that looks like you should have chicken tenders and fries on it, which is not far from what was going on. When a co-analyst asked what was wrong with finger food, she responded, I enjoy chicken tenders. I have a 3-year-old. I'm just saying that the Rose Garden should look better. For others, the lunch was held in poor taste amid the government shutdown. I forgot. So during the government shutdown, he's talking about how you walk through the hall with the marble. We have marble halls now. People don't have jobs, but I have marble halls. And then, of course, Governor Newsom. One like and we'll send him back behind the grill. Oh, God. Oh, my God. A tweet criticizing the event stated, eating steak and sipping cocktails at Trump's Rose Garden Club while his constituents struggle during a government shutdown is some real let them eat cake vibes. Excuse me. Holy Jesus. Of course, Rand Paul and Thomas Massie, who've actually been pretty fucking dope during all this shit. Like I said, strange bedfellows. But I've always had a place in my heart for the libertarians. I think they're fucking goofballs. But I've always had a place in my heart for being able to talk to libertarians. You know, some of the shit they believe is just completely wacky. Wow, a loyalty test with appetizers. That's a wild way to describe the current GOP situation. Rand Paul and Thomas Massie finding common ground at the no kneeling table is quite the visual. Jesus Christ. Paul later said, I actually wasn't invited to the White House lunch today, but that's okay. I had a previously scheduled Liberty Caucus lunch with Thomas Massie. Oh my God, guys. President Trump on Tuesday took a swipe at Rand Paul while hosting Senate Republicans at the White House for lunch amid the government shutdown. We have everybody but one person here. You'll never guess who that is. Senator Paul, who has repeatedly joined Democrats in voting against a House-passed stopgap government funding bill, was the only Republican not invited to the lunch. He automatically votes no on everything. He thinks it's good politics. It's really not good politics. The Kentucky senator said he was not invited to attend and instead had lunch with Thomas Massie. I actually wasn't invited to the White House lunch today. That's okay. Jesus Christ. In a Newsmax interview, Paul snarked that it's good to know that I was still on the mind of the president, and even though I wasn't there, he was still thinking about me. What are we supposed to say? This is our president, guys. This is the president of the United States, guys. What am I supposed to say to the news nowadays? And if you think it doesn't get stupider than that, guys, but wait, there's more. I'm not done yet. We're not even close to done yet. What am I saying? You guys know what happened today? I'm sure you do. But in case you don't, I'm going to tell you what happened today. In a week in which we saw George Santos get pardon of his crimes against MAGA, hilariously enough, literally scammed MAGA supporters, literally scammed Republicans by authorizing charges on their credit cards without their permission. He pardoned Georgina Santos. He then talked about pardoning P. Diddy, or as Donald Trump said, I know him as Puff Daddy. And then today, guys, today he decided, definitely not quid pro quo. Definitely this guy, who knows? I don't even, what is his name? I don't know this guy. Who are you talking about? Yeah, maybe he donated. I don't know. Who did he pardon today, guys? That's the name of the game nowadays, is who did Trump pardon today? Well, today, guys, Trump pardoned Binance founder Changpeng Zhao, high-profile cryptocurrency figure. Okay? Let's just watch this video because I can't do this right now.
President Trump has pardoned Changpeng Zhao, the convicted founder of the crypto exchange Binance. The Wall Street Journal reported the president pardoned CZ, as he's known, on Wednesday. This comes following months of efforts by CZ to boost the Trump family's own crypto company. Trump recently indicated to advisors that he was sympathetic to arguments of political persecution.
Definitely not quid pro quo. Definitely not.
Related to CZ and others, that's according to the Journal. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that Trump had, quote, exercised his constitutional authority by issuing a pardon for Mr. Zhao, who was prosecuted by the Biden administration in their war on cryptocurrency. A pardon will likely pave the way for Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange, to return to the U.S. That's after the company pleaded guilty.
America first, guys. America first.
In 2023.
Also, what is... That man looks like he is a South Park character. What is up with that dude's head? Somebody get fucking Matt and Trey on the phone. I think one of their characters have escaped into the wild. Escape.
To violating U.S. anti-money laundering requirements and was barred from operating here. Binance did not immediately respond to the Journal in a request for comment. We do know, of course, very broadly that this administration has been a much, much friendlier one to the cryptocurrency industry.
You don't say. That's an understatement. That's an understatement. Okay, so what was CZ doing time for, guys? Guys, you can't make this shit up. If you ask somebody to write a fucking story, write a script, write a movie, a comedy, a dramedy, maybe even, you couldn't do it better than this shit. You can't make this shit up. This man was serving prison time for failing to stop criminals from using the platform to move money connected to child sex abuse, drug trafficking, and terrorism. Terrorism, guys. Child sex trafficking and terrorism. Guys, this is the guy he's gonna release the Epstein files, guys. This guy's going to stop the terrorizing. He hates drugs so much that he blows up random ass boats in the ocean, guys. But he pardoned this guy out of the goodness of his heart. Quid pro quo? I don't think so. You guys are killing it in the chat right now. You guys are absolutely killing it in the chat. I just need to turn the reins of the show over to you guys. The pardon caps a months-long effort by Zhao, a billionaire commonly known as CZ in the crypto world and one of the biggest names in the industry. He and Binance have been key supporters of some of the Trump family's crypto enterprises. Deeply grateful for today's pardon and to President Trump for upholding America's commitment to fairness, innovation, and justice, CZ said on social media Thursday. Zhao served, guys, an incredibly long sentence of 4 months in prison after reaching a deal with the Justice Department to plead guilty to charges of enabling money laundering at Binance. But in explaining the pardon, Trump said of Zhao, he was recommended by a lot of people. A lot of people say that he wasn't guilty of anything. He served 4 months in jail, and they say he was not guilty of anything. Dude, this is elder abuse. This might be elder abuse. I don't think that Donald Trump even knows that. I think his kids got him to fucking pardon this dude. I actually believe Donald Trump might not know who dude is. The president added that he didn't believe he'd ever met Zhao personally, but had been told he had a lot of support, and they said that what he did is not even a crime. He said Zhao had been persecuted by the Biden administration. Guys, even if that's true, even if Trump has never met this guy or knows anything about him, that 100% means that he pardoned a dude that was helping criminals to finance child sex trafficking. He pardoned him without ever knowing who he was or what he had done. This is what I've said like a million times now. None of this shit makes sense. If you're a Trump supporter and you're like, Trump didn't touch no kids, bro, he's not on the Epstein client list. Even if that's true, let's be the best faith possible. That means that he is covering up for people that have, which makes him just as shitty of a human being. If Donald Trump pardoned a person that he didn't know who he was or what he had done, how did he decide that he should pardon him? I don't want to say the words. I don't want to say this can't get any dumber. Because every time I do, they fucking prove me wrong. I gave him a pardon at the request of a lot of very good people. It's the latest move by a president who has flexed his executive power to bestow clemency on political allies, prominent public figures, and others convicted of crimes. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt announced the pardon in a statement and later told reporters in a briefing that the White House counsel's office thoroughly reviewed the request. She said the administration of Democratic President Joe Biden pursued an egregious over sentencing, and the case was very hostile to the cryptocurrency industry. The crypto industry has also long complained it was a subject of regulation by enforcement ethos under the Biden's administration. That's actually, that's how you do regulate things, is by enforcing the laws. They just like to use big words now, so that way fucking MAGA Republicans can be like, those are good words. Regulation by enforcement, that sounds bad. Trump's pardon of Zhao fits into a broad pattern of taking a hands-off approach to an industry that spent heavily to help him win the election in 2024. His administration has dropped several enforcement actions against crypto companies that began during Biden's term and disbanded the crypto-related enforcement team at the Justice Department. If you don't know what that means that everything, including the fucking Hawk Tuah coin that was going to be investigated by the government, is not being investigated by the fucking government. I'm getting dumber by the moment. Former federal prosecutor Mark Binney said Zhao went to prison for what sounds like a regulatory offense, or at worst, it's kissing cousin. Guys, we shouldn't be doing this. I don't think I need to say this, but we shouldn't be doing this. In addition to taking pro-crypto enforcement and regulatory positions, the president and his family have plunged headfirst into making money in crypto. A stablecoin launched by World Liberty Financial, a crypto project founded by Trump and his sons, received early support and credibility thanks to an investment fund and the United Arab Emirates using $2 billion worth of World Liberty stablecoin to purchase a stake in Binance. Stablecoins are a type of cryptocurrency that are typically tied to the value of the US dollar. A separate World Liberty Finance token saw a huge spike in price on Thursday shortly after news of the pardon was made public, with gains that far outpaced any other major cryptocurrency according to data from CoinMarketCap. I mean, I'm not really trying to convince anybody. All of you guys know, like Visora just said, they've always done that, right? I'm not convincing you guys. I'm just trying to make sure that people continue to talk. Continue to talk, because one of the things that I think that gets done, that's important, that we do not allow, is that we look at things and we say to ourselves, oh, everybody knows this. Everybody understands this. Let's just, why do we need to keep talking about this? And it's because this administration, specifically this administration, wants every one of these things to go away. They want you to stop talking about it. They want it to become a non-story. They want you to become used to the President of the United States using cryptocurrency to fund the wealth of his family. The corruption to become just everyday news. They want you to stop talking about the Epstein files. They want you to stop talking about Virginia Giuffre. They want you to stop talking about his corruption. They want you to stop talking about him destroying the White House. And they want you to stop talking about everything that Donald Trump is doing to this country right now that is making it less and less likely that we will ever fucking recover from this. And I don't know about you, but I've never known when I should stop talking. I just keep talking. And I don't really care that other people don't want me to talk. I'm not exhausted. I'm not tired. I'm going to keep talking. But you know who has a really hard time talking nowadays? Donald fucking Trump. Because we just watched a video of Donald Trump showing us all exactly how this man's abilities of loquaciousness, this verbal fucking wizard, this man amongst men, this towering fucking orator, what he sounds like when you give him a mic and let him talk about patios. We saw that. And people are talking about it. And people should be talking about it. And just recently, this doctor, Dr. John Gartner, decided he wanted to talk about it a little bit. And I said to myself, Self, I think people should see this video. Because we're not going to stop talking about it. Because Donald Trump's cognitive decline is going to be treated the same way it was treated, or Biden's was treated. And we're going to keep everybody up to date on Donald Trump's dementia. So this is Dr. John Gartner, And he's saying that 79-year-old president's nonsensical speeches and mental lapses are flashing signs of his immense cognitive decline.
Recently, the other thing, personality disorder. The other thing, though, about his recent talks is we talked about his confusing Harvard and Harlem. Recently, he's been confusing India.
If you guys don't remember what the Harvard Harlem thing was, Donald Trump had called in to a show with Stephen A. Smith and I believe maybe what's the Cuomo brother? That's not Andrew. The other one, Chris Cuomo, called into a show, and when asked about something that happened with Harvard, I believe Stephen A. Smith asked him about the protests with Harvard and them not giving in to Donald Trump's regime and authoritarian dictatorship and all the things that he wanted Harvard to do. Donald Trump then started talking about Harlem. He said, yes, in Harlem, it turns out these protests were happening because they love me. Harlem loves me. And Harlem was rising up to support Donald Trump. And there's a weird kind of paper sound as though somebody has given Donald Trump a note saying, motherfucker, you moron. They said Harvard, not Harlem. And then he kind of swivels to Harvard without ever saying anything about explaining why he was talking about Harlem, which, by the way, Harlem had not rioted or protested in Trump's name in the recent past. So he just literally made that shit up because he's a compulsive liar, allegedly. So that's what he's talking about when he's talking about the Harlem Harvard.
Confusing Harvard and Harlem. Recently, he's been confusing India and Iran. You know, he's been talking about Pakistan being at war with Iran, and he's trying to broker a peace. And he says Iran several times when he's talking about India.
As an example, if you look at Pakistan and Iran, I told them I was in the midst.
Or how about Armenia and Albania? How about the president of Albania laughing at Donald Trump while talking to the French president Macron and saying, you haven't congratulated me on my recent peace agreement that Donald Trump got for us between us and whoever it was that they're supposedly at war at, being that Donald Trump continues to confuse, and I don't mean just once, I mean over and over again, Armenia and Albania. When Joe Biden did these things, people did not stop talking about this. It was nonstop coverage on the left, on the right, on alternative media. Every single person was like, I can't believe Joe Biden said that the president of Ecuador was the president of Mexico. Wow, this guy's really losing it. Man, we got to get him out of here.
Of negotiating a trade deal with Iran, and Pakistan was going to be in line.
Well, Chris, what do those two countries have in common? You know, they begin with I.
And they got some brown people. He's like, they all look the same to me.
Right. Sort of like Harvard and Harlem. So that's the level of free association we're talking about.
And is that just because he's the president and he's got a lot of details to keep on top of? I mean, I agree that getting India and Iran confused is...
Yes, everybody makes mistakes. And that's why I try to say when we talk about Biden, I'm happy to give people the benefit of the doubt, especially powerful people that have a lot of responsibility. And even forever, I would say to people, when people would take things out of context for Donald Trump, and they'd show me a statement that Donald Trump made, and I would look up that statement, and I would see that it was taken out of context, I would say to every one of those people, I'd say, why do you do that? Now, what do you mean? Why do you take a statement that Donald Trump makes out of context to try to prove to me that he is stupid? And I go, oh, well, you know, if you think about it the way he said it, and I go, no, stop. You don't need to take things that Donald Trump says out of context. You just need to show people things that Donald Trump says. Donald Trump will prove his own stupidity all on his own. You do not need to take things out of context with Donald Trump. And that was fucking 8 years ago. It has only gotten worse. It has only gotten worse.
Is a deadly potentially a deadly mistake. But is there any benefit of the doubt you could give him that he's, trying to master a ton of detail here?
Well, look, as an older person, I tend to give people a lot of benefit of the doubt. I mean, even on my own podcast, sometimes I say, oh, yeah, the person from Germany, what's his name? Then we have to edit that out. But he tends to mishmash them together in a way that shows a deeper level of thought disorder.
The motherfucker says it with all the confidence in the world.
For example, the other thing he was saying about India and Pakistan, he's saying, well, then I think he's starting to say India now. He's saying, well, India's had a lot of change of leadership. They haven't really been.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Azerbaijan. Armenia. Maybe he just doesn't like saying Azerbaijan. Remember when he called people in Arizona Azure-Asians? That was one of my favorites. Azure-Asians. Blue Chinese people.
Stable. That's true of Pakistan. It's not true of India. So first he confuses their names. Then he confuses the countries themselves, their political leadership.
Yeah, and that's how you know. He's not just confusing the names, because then he starts confusing the people that are involved in those countries. Like if I mean to say Ireland, and I say Macron, the President Macron, and then I start talking about things that are happening in France, I am clearly making the mistake of thinking that France is Ireland. And that's what Donald Trump does.
Their history. So it's one thing to get a name wrong, maybe even to reverse it, although that still seems very rare, but he's actually confusing the countries themselves. Another example of this kind of really clearly demented memory loss would be when he was negotiating the government shutdown. He met with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, right, the minority leader of the House and the Senate, and he said, yeah, I had a talk with Chuck Schumer, and he brought a very nice man with him who I didn't know.
He didn't know Hakeem Jeffries?
Yeah, he knows Hakeem Jeffries. Okay, he's not an obscure congressman. He's the minority leader. He deals with him on an almost daily basis. This is like when you go to visit your mother in the nursing home, and you bring your sister, and she goes, who's that nice lady that you brought with you? Oh, honey, that's your daughter. That's my sister.
Wow.
It's that level of non-recognition that we're talking.
Yeah. That's the level. That's the level of non-recognition that the current president of the United States has. And I've said this before. When I first started doing this, one of the things I said to left-leaning people, the liberals, the Democrats, the progressives, I said, you do yourself no favors when you don't acknowledge that Joe Biden is an old man. We don't need old people in office. That's why I started this show saying, when people, if you want to criticize Grant Plattner, feel free. But if you think it's a good idea to put an 80 or 90-year-old woman into office instead of him because you disagree with some of the things that he's done or said, or that if you think that putting a Republican into office is better than having a guy who said some mean things about Nazis, mind you, that said mean things about fascists on Reddit, if you would rather go that route, go for it. But that's dumb. And I said to people, to my left-leaning people, I said, you have to recognize that Joe Biden is old. Because the argument isn't Joe Biden isn't old. The argument is Joe Biden, for as old as he is, got the PACT Act passed. Joe Biden, for as old as he is, got bipartisan gun control done for the first time in almost 30 years. He passed the CHIPS and Science Act. He steered the United States of America after a global pandemic and skipped it across a fucking recession and kept us out of it until Donald Trump took office and tanked the American economy. He forgave $200 billion in college debt. He did more in infrastructure for this country than anybody has done since probably Clinton, maybe Obama. The argument wasn't that he wasn't old. The argument was that even as old as Joe Biden was, he was more effective than any Republican president has been in the past 50 years, if not longer. Donald Trump, if you support Donald Trump, you can't say that. If you support Donald Trump, you say, you know, Donald Trump's old, but he's bankrupted farmers. Donald Trump's old, but he's made America a worse place to live for middle class, lower middle class, and impoverished people. Donald Trump's old, but he's successfully covered up for pedophile elites that are named in the Epstein files. Yeah, those two things don't compare. And you don't need to take Donald Trump out of context to prove that. You just let the man fucking talk. But speaking of dudes that can talk, and you guys, yeah, Trump did want to nuke a hurricane. Can we just nuke the hurricane? So, a guy that you guys might have seen this yesterday, but a guy that I'm really, really enjoying nowadays is Zohran Mamdani. I am really enjoying some Zohran nowadays, guys. And the reason that I'm enjoying Zohran right now is because Zohran, guys, it is a breath of fresh air. Seeing a person that can talk, you know, that doesn't have a bunch of skeletons in the closet that the left will eat each other over. A guy that really speaks to normal people and is supported by people like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders has been one of the things that really, really has made me feel good about what's going on in the future in this country. So I know you guys probably saw a bit of his debate yesterday. If you were on the channel, they live streamed the debate yesterday. So this is Zohran Mamdani talking to Adam Cuomo, and this is him speaking to Adam Cuomo. Andy. I don't think I can call that dude Andy. Also, Andrew Cuomo sounds like Joe Biden, guys. He sounds like Joe Biden. He stole Joe Biden's way of talking. But this is him talking to Andrew Cuomo about the skeletons in his closet. Whoops. I did it again. Here, let's try it again.
Mr. Cuomo, in 2021, 13 different women who worked in your administration credibly accused you of sexual harassment. Since then, you have spent more than $20 million in taxpayer funds to defend yourself, all while...
Why is he writing this down? He knows all of this. Why is he taking notes on his own essay cases?
Describing these allegations as entirely political. You have even gone so far as to legally go after these women. One of those women, Charlotte Bennett, is here in the audience this evening. You sought to access her private gynecological records.
Wow.
She cannot speak up for herself because you lodged
shit.
a defamation case against her. I, however, can speak. What do you say to the 13 women that you sexually harassed?
Yikes! Ho! Ho! That was fire. And the crowd goes wild.
If you want to be in government, then you have to be serious and mature.
That was the answer? That was the answer?
There were allegations of sexual harassment. They were then went to 5 district attorneys, fully litigated for 4 years. The cases were dropped, right? You know that as a fact. So everything you just stated, you just said was a misstatement, which we're accustomed to from you.
Stated was a misstatement?
Yes, because the cases were dropped. That's what happened.
Oh, you don't say. A powerful politician use his ability to silence people to silence people. That's definitely not something Trump would do. That's not real Trumpian, right? Not at all. This guy and Trump have nothing in common, guys. Not even a single thing. They're definitely not cut from the same cloth. I'm being very sarcastic. And this is also Zohran Mamdani talking directly, I believe, to Donald Trump.
You know, I want to take this moment because you spoke about President Trump, and he may be watching right now, and I just want to speak directly to the president, which is that I will not be a mayor like Mayor Adams who will call you to figure out how to stay out of jail. I won't be a disgraced governor like Andrew Cuomo who will call you to ask how to win this election. I can do those things on my own. I will, however, be a mayor who is ready to speak at any time to lower the cost of living. That's the way that I'm going to lead this city. That's the partnership I want to build, not only with Washington, D.C., but anyone across this country. I think it's important because too often the focus on the needs of working class Americans, working class New Yorkers are put to the side as we talk more and more about the very kinds of corrupt politicians like Andrew Cuomo that delivered us into this kind of crisis.
That's the leader we need right there. That is what we need right there. I mean, you can't find a dude right now that is doing what Mamdani is. I know that there's other people that are of the same cut of cloth. I know that there's other democratic socialists out there that are claiming to do the same things, but there's nobody right now that better represents the type of change that we need here in America than what Mamdani is doing. And it couldn't make me happier that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have gotten behind Zohran Mamdani, and more people need to get behind Mamdani. And there are other candidates. Like I said, Graham Plattner is doing a good job. Omar Fateh has a chance to make a difference. Isaiah Martin, I'm trying to remember where he's running at right now. Real good Gen Z dude running for Congress. People should look into him and figure out he's super dope. So the article goes on to say, Cuomo has long denied a number of sexual harassment allegations after independent investigators appointed by New York General Attorney Letitia James in 2021 found that he had sexually harassed multiple women who were current and former state employees. Cuomo ultimately resigned from his role as governor following that report, which alleged that he'd engaged in unwanted groping, kissing, and hugging and making inappropriate comments. Bennett had previously accused Cuomo of asking questions about her sex life and making other inappropriate remarks, allegations he denied. Lindsey Boylan, the first woman to publicly accuse Cuomo of harassment, expressed support and gratitude for Mamdani's remarks on Wednesday. I am one of these women. I have been legally abused by Andrew Cuomo for years after being harassed as his staffer. Now he wants to be mayor. Shame on you, Cuomo, and thank you, Mamdani, for speaking out on this injustice. And that's what I mean. He's doing something for people that really makes a difference. He's carrying a light during a time of darkness. There's not a lot to be happy about. There's not a lot to think about nowadays that gives you hope or helps to motivate you to want to do more and help more and not be exhausted and apathetic and nihilistic. You can't quantify the value of a person like Zohran Mamdani ascending to the status that he is right now at this time. It's invaluable. There are times in history where the right person is at the right place at the right time to make a difference. And Zohran Mamdani is rising to that occasion. And people should choose to support Zohran Mamdani, not because he's a Democrat, not because he's not a Republican, but because the things that he's expressing, the values that he wants you to express as well, are values that benefit you more than any of the policies or legislation that you've heard from even some of the better politicians out there. He wants to see you getting to work on free transportation. He wants to see you coming home and staying in a place that you can afford, that doesn't bankrupt you or cause you to live check to check. He wants to make sure that grocery stores are open and that they also sell healthy food, not just processed garbage. There isn't a single thing that this man has talked about so far that isn't, at least at its base, good for you. You can talk about viability. You can talk about how are we going to pay for that. But what you can't talk about is whether or not these things are good for you or not, because it's undeniable that if he can accomplish these things, that they are good for you and they are going to benefit you, but he can't do it by himself. So you need to support other politicians that have these same values in primaries. When John Fetterman goes to run again, he needs to be primaried. When Schumer or anybody else like them that have chosen to not listen to their voters, that choose to not listen to the fact that over 60% of Americans now believe that socialism is an option, those people need to be primaried. When you have people that are speaking out on Jasmine Crockett or AOC and saying, what are these young people doing? Why are they being so loud? Why are they insulting the other side? That's not who we are. Those people need to be primaried. Because voices like AOC's and Jasmine Crockett's are the only way that we get out of this bullshit. They're the only way that we make a difference that matters. Because you can't put into office more just run-of-the-mill, sit on your hands, when they go low, we go high Democrats and expect that you're going to see any type of positive outcome or change. You need to vote for Zohran Mamdani, but more importantly, you need to support all of those politicians out there that are like Zohran Mamdani, because he can't do it by himself. And you also have to use your voice. I just, speaking of some people that are making a difference right now, I wanted to talk about this guy. Because I recently saw this, and I actually haven't watched this video. So I recently saw this video, and I saw this guy getting called out by a bunch of MAGA people. And look, I come from a very country place, to say the least. I come from probably the most country place in California, the home of country music. I come from Bakersfield, California. Okay? And I'll tell you something about the country. When I talk about cowboys and I talk about country folk, you know, I oftentimes like to parallel the knights and chivalry with country men and cowboys, right? Because just like knights and chivalry, it's nothing like it's been romanticized to be, right? Like, knights of the past were not these great people. The code of chivalry, though it was a great idea, was rarely adhered to. And oftentimes we also romanticize the country family, the man of the house, the cowboy. A lot of times that the country folk I grew up around, the man of the family was an alcoholic, an abusive husband, a person that didn't want a lot to do with their children. And one of the things that's been a silver lining to me getting into content creation during this time is seeing people like Tennessee Brando and Texas Paul, and seeing people like Trey Crowder, country people that adhere to a code of chivalry that at one point or another I just thought was fantasy. But you see people doing good things, and you can appreciate those good things that these people do, and you hope that this generation can finally have a set of men and women in their lives that are worthy of following and mimicking their ideas. And so I saw this gentleman the other day. I want to say, what was his name? His name is Brian Andrews, and apparently Brian Andrews here is a country musician, and he had called MAGA out for the hypocrisy, the craziness. He said, you're not a Christian if you believe that people being homeless, that those people should be taken off the street and put in prison, that they shouldn't be well fed. If you think that, people should be despised because they are poor. He had a great video on that, and it just triggered the fuck out of MAGA. Because MAGA, they're not really people that live like Jesus. So I wanted to watch this video with you, because I haven't seen this video, but this is his response to MAGA. MAGA said, who radicalized you? And he said, you did. So,
it's funny. Every once in a while, somebody will come up to me in my small town in real life and say, damn, dude, you really are too far gone now. Who radicalized you? You did. Because even though you hate me for being some liberal snowflake or whatever fucking dumbass name you guys have come up with this week, I still have love in my heart for you. Even though you hate me, I still don't think that you should have to go work 60 hours a week at a blue-collar job in a small town and still not be able to afford health insurance for your family. Even though you hate me, I still don't think that you should have to pay 25 to 34% of your income that you earn with your bare fucking hands, while the billionaire that owns the company that you do the work for doesn't have to pay jack shit. Even though you hate me, I still do not think that you should have to pay for your child to eat lunch at a school that they are legally required to fucking be at. And in the last week, since my name has been getting tossed around the national media like a basket of bread rolls at a Texas fucking roadhouse, the biggest lesson that it has taught me is that the biggest difference between me and you is that if I was standing on the side of the road on fire, most of you wouldn't stop to take a fucking piss on me. But I still want you to be able to actually live, because we were not put on this earth to just pay bills and fucking die. So the next time you ask me who radicalized you, you did.
So the reason I really like that is because, the other day I saw AOC say, I don't want to be a politician for Democrats. I want to be a politician for all people. I want to see everybody get health care. I don't care if you're a MAGA Republican or you're a leftist or you're a progressive, if you're a Democrat or you're a conservative or libertarian. I want every one of you to have health care. And, I tell this story a lot on my channel, and I don't know if I've ever told it on this channel, but there's something to talking about something that you don't know, somebody you don't know. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know what they go through every day. You don't know what they experience. You don't know what tragedy they've been through, but you know that they deserve certain human rights. And, I once sat up on my channel and I was talking about some transgender issues, and I said, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I up here saying what we should be talking about for transgender people? I know that there's some transgender people in my chat. You tell me, what should we be talking about? Should we be talking about fucking bathrooms? What should we be talking about? And one of my subscribers said, we should be talking about the economy. From a transgender person's point of view, we should be talking about the economy. Because if we can make the economy good, that makes life better for everybody. And if life is better for everybody, they hate me less. What AOC is really saying is that you make the world better for everybody by making the world better for everybody, right? You don't make the world better by helping some people get health care. You don't make the world better by saying only the people I like get to not be poor. You make the world better by making even the fucking people that you don't get along with, that you don't agree with, have the same basic rights to have a good life. If you have health care, my life is better. If you have stability, my life is better. If you have a family that you enjoy and appreciate, my life is better. That man don't want nothing but to make your life better, and you hate him. That's fucking bananas. That's out of this world. All right. Well, one thing that I've been doing that I do on my channel, I don't think I've done it over here enough. I don't know if I've done it all, but I've said this a couple of times. I said, you know, one of the funny things, I saw this guy the other day, and he's usually a Christian historian or some shit like that. And his whole thing was he made a video for his subscribers saying, you guys might have seen I'm making different content nowadays. And he's making like conservative MAGA content now, right? I watch videos from conservatives because I like to venture across enemy lines, right? So I said, you know, in watching this guy's stuff, he's saying like all of his old videos were about history and religion and stuff, and now he's doing nothing but like, why are the transgenders going in your bathroom? And he was like, just so you guys know, as a content creator, we're slaves to the algorithm, and so now that's what it's about, if I want any views, then I have to talk about politics. And I was like, holy fucking brain rot Batman. I was like, is this really where we have fucking gotten? And I've always made the joke that the internet used to be the gold, the best the internet had ever been was back when we were watching just funny videos of like fucking cats, deers bouncing across freeways, old men running into screen doors. Like, that was when the internet was still good. And I'll be damned. I'll be damned, man, if I only make videos to get views and clicks and bullshit. It's not why I started doing this. It's not why I will ever do this. So I've been making sure every stream that we watch some funny shit that I haven't seen. You haven't seen. Maybe you have. You guys are on the TikToks. I'm not always on I've never been on the TikToks. This is the only time I'm ever on the TikToks. And I've made a channel that's off to the side. So if you guys get a chance, you can go and like the Angry Ginger Live Funny Clips channel. That is my third channel because I'm a slave to editing. But I would put these funny videos on my channel and people would be like, what is this bullshit? Like, I don't know. I thought you wanted to laugh. But so I made another channel for it. But I've been making sure that we watch this shit. So I just wanted to have a good time with you guys. Watch this video to finish out my show before we have Visora come through and talk about some real actual news and things that actually matter. But I wanted you guys to watch these videos with me because I just have a good time watching these videos. I believe this is a video about kids. So here we go.
Ay!
Oh!
Are you ready?
Oh! Hold on.
Ay!
Oh!
Are you ready? Go.
And it looks like.
Oh!
And it looks like. It looks like.
Oh no. Okay, that kid might have a concussion. That's actually kind of serious.
Gentle.
Oh, hold on. That's a bad idea. My brother in Christ. That is a very, very... Why would you give that child an egg?
No.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. Oh, no, don't pants him. Ooh, god damn. Okay, I didn't know there was going to be multiple children's concussions in this video. I like to say that I did not pre-watch. Oh!
If I dummy.
Dude, that face says that wasn't just a fart.
I'm back.
You want him back? Dude, I do that shit too sometimes. It's a life hack. Pretend you're asleep and they won't try and get you out of bed.
Beacon.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. You guys got to remember to laugh, man. Don't let them steal your joy. Don't let them steal your joy. Got to remember to laugh. The only video I didn't get to. We did pretty good tonight. I only talked a lot, not like an extreme amount. The only one I didn't get to tonight, and you guys should go watch, is MAGAs go full Nazi on Kash Patel for Happy Diwali post. That's a Kyle Kalinske video. And you guys should definitely go watch that. I would like to just say before Matt the Letterhat kicks me off his channel for playing videos of small children getting concussions. I was not aware. All right, I wasn't aware that there was going to be so many children getting concussions. Jesus, it's a wild world out there. Okay, all right, guys. All right. Well, I guess the way I'll close everything out is by just ending it the way I started it, because I don't think enough people say this. I think there's a lot that goes on in the YouTube content creation world and TikTok and social media that doesn't care two shits about humanity. That, you know, as long as the videos get clicks, as long as people are generating revenue for people, that's all that matters. So, you know, I see a lot of left-wing content attacking other left-wing content creators. I see a lot of left-wing content attacking and criticizing left-wing politicians that are genuinely pretty good people, or at the least deserve the time to demonstrate to you that they are. And too often do I see left-wing people, you get a good candidate, or even a potentially, well, let's say it that way, a potentially good candidate, and the first slip up that person makes, or the first, you know, bad meme or joke when they were 20, or some video of them doing some crazy shit like that, they're immediately tossed out the window. If you want to live in this country, I mean this one right now, for the rest of your life, if you want to continue this cycle of idiocracy with people like Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Stephen Miller in charge, then continue to do those things, because you will forever live in a country dominated by conservatives and clowns. But if you want to be serious and you want to get out of this shit and you want to get back to some sense of sanity, then you're going to have to start accepting that human beings are flawed and imperfect. And that doesn't mean that they get to get away with fucking bad shit. But they're flawed and imperfect. And that you have to give them a chance to prove to you that they're not bad people. I think I've done a pretty good job so far. One day you might see a meme I've shared and be like, fuck that guy. But I've done okay. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. My next show is Saturday at 5 p.m. And I hope you guys see me over there on my channel on Saturday. All right, guys. Visora is next. Go check out Visora.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for the wonderful show, AG, and thank you to the space, as usual, for hosting. All of the lovely editors, Nick, Etch, Jet, you guys all do a fantastic job. I'm happy to be here. Honestly, the debate yesterday was fantastic. I